AI 3D generators have improved a lot over the past year. Today, you can turn a single image or prompt into a complete 3D model in minutes. But here's the real question. Which one actually creates models you can use in a real production workflow? A lot of AI tools generate impressive previews, but once you import those models into Blender or a game engine, you often run into messy topology, missing details, or hours of cleanup. So today, I'm putting some of the most popular AI 3D generators head-to-head. I'll compare Tripo 3D, Meshy, Rodin, and Hunyuan 3D using the exact same character to see which one delivers the best combination of speed, quality, and production readiness. By the end of this video, you'll know which tool I'd actually use for my own projects.
If you love discovering tools that make you think, wow, that was easy, you're in the right place. We test platforms, reveal hidden features, and teach you quick ways to boost your creativity, productivity, and your content game.
To keep things fair, every platform gets the exact same reference image, a detailed sci-fi explorer robot with mechanical arms, layered armor, glowing sensors, and lots of small accessories. I'll compare them across 5 categories: generation quality, low poly topology, texture quality, production workflow, overall usability. Instead of judging them by a single render, I'll follow the same process I would use for a real project, from generation all the way to export. Let's start with the first test. I uploaded the same reference image into every platform without making any manual adjustments. The first difference I noticed was generation speed. Some tools finished faster than others, but speed alone doesn't tell the whole story. What really matters is how much of the original design survives the generation process. Starting with Tripo 3D, the overall silhouette stays very close to the concept. The backpack, shoulder armor, and mechanical arms all remain well-defined, while smaller accessories are still recognizable. It gives me a solid foundation before I even begin editing. Next is Meshy. It captures the overall shape well, but some of the finer mechanical details become softer, especially around the joints and smaller accessories. Rodin produces a clean-looking model, but I noticed that a few design elements are simplified, making the final result feel less faithful to the original reference. Finally, Hunyuan 3D reconstructs the main character successfully, but some areas lose definition, particularly around the harder surface details. None of these models are perfect, and that's expected. Every AI-generated asset benefits from some refinement. But after this first test, Tripo 3D gives me one of the strongest starting points, preserving more of the original concept while requiring less correction before moving to the next stage. Now let's move to the feature that caught my attention the most: low poly generation. If you're creating assets for games, AR, VR, or real-time applications, topology matters just as much as appearance. A model might look great in a preview, but if the mesh is messy, you'll spend extra time cleaning it up before you can actually use it. This is where Tripo 3D's Smart Mesh stands out. Instead of generating a dense model first and converting it later, Smart Mesh creates a lightweight, optimized mesh from the start. In my test, it finished in just a few seconds and produced a clean wireframe that was ready to inspect immediately. Looking at the topology, the polygon flow is well organized, especially around joints like the shoulders, elbows, and knees. Flat surfaces stay clean without unnecessary geometry, making the model easier to edit or animate later. Now, comparing it with the other tools, I noticed a few differences. Some platforms generate usable low-poly models, but they often require additional optimization or cleanup before they're ready for a production pipeline. In some cases, the polygon distribution is less consistent and finer details are simplified more aggressively. For quick concept work, that may not be a problem. But if you're building assets for Unity, Unreal Engine, or other real-time projects, starting with a cleaner mesh can save a lot of time. What I like about Smart Mesh is that it doesn't just focus on speed, it also produces a mesh that's much closer to something I'd actually want to take into the next stage of development. Of course, not every project needs a lightweight game asset. Sometimes you need a highly detailed model for a cinematic product visualization, marketing render, or even 3D printing. For that, I switched over to Tripo 3D's HD Model H 3.1. Using the same reference image, the difference was easy to notice. The mechanical panels looked sharper, smaller accessories were more clearly defined, and the overall model stayed very close to the original design. Another new feature is 8K textures. Instead of only increasing texture resolution, this feature improves material definition and color accuracy. When I zoomed in, metal surfaces, painted edges, and different materials looked more distinct, adding extra realism to close-up views. But what impressed me even more was the workflow. With many AI tools, generating the model is only the beginning. You often need separate software to edit the mesh, improve texture, textures, prepare it for animation, or organize different parts of the model. With Tripo 3D, much more of that process happens in one place. I could refine the model with AI editing, use SVG2 segmentation to separate logical parts, optimize the geometry with retopology, and even prepare the character for animation before exporting it. For creators building game assets, animations, or printable models, having these tools connected in a single workspace makes the workflow feel much more streamlined. Instead of constantly switching between different applications, I can stay focused on creating, iterate faster, and spend less time managing files. After testing all 4 platforms, one thing became very clear. Every tool has its strengths, but they're built for different kinds of users. If you only need a quick 3D concept to visualize an idea, most of these platforms can get you there. They all generate usable starting points and can speed up the early creative process. But if your goal is to create assets that will actually move into a production pipeline, I think the workflow matters just as much as the initial generation. That's where Tripo 3D stood out in my testing. It wasn't just about generating a detailed model. What made the biggest difference was being able to continue the project without constantly switching between different tools. Starting with a reference image, I could generate a model, choose between Smart Mesh for optimized low-poly assets or H3.1 for higher detail models. Refine the results with AI editing, improve texture quality with the new 8K texture feature, organize components using SVG2 segmentation, optimize the mesh, preview animations, and finally export everything for Blender, Unity, or Unreal Engine. That connected workflow is what makes Tripo feel more like a complete AI 3D workspace rather than just another AI model generator. Does it replace professional 3D software entirely? Not necessarily. Complex projects will still benefit from tools like Blender or Maya. But by handling so much of the early and middle stages of production, Tripo can significantly reduce repetitive work and help creators move from concept to production much faster. If I had to choose one platform for a real production workflow, Tripo 3D would be my pick. Its combination of fast smart mesh generation, detailed H3.1 models, improved 8K textures, and an end-to-end workflow makes it a very practical option for game developers, 3D artists, product designers, and content creators. More importantly, it focuses on helping you finish projects, not just generate models, and I think that's a big difference. If you'd like to try Tripo 3D yourself, check out my invite link in the description. New users can get 500 bonus credits when signing up, and you can use the code TRIPOCREW to get 60% off your first month of the Pro plan, bringing it to less than $8. If you enjoyed this comparison, don't forget to like the video, subscribe for more AI tool reviews, and let me know in the comments which AI tool I should test next. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.